So I want you to think of a pitcher that only has a fastball when he's pitching. You can tell that wouldn't be very successful as he tries to move up the leagues. The same would go for a football player who can catch but can't run, or a golfer who can putt but can't drive. So trust me when I say that a roper who can ride a horse but doesn't know how to control the English on his rope is in the same boat as these athletes I've previously mentioned. I've actually been roping my whole life. I'm 24 years old, so I've been able to practice this and studied rope English my entire life. I practiced with a guy who's trained multiple world champions and national finals qualifiers, and so I have a pretty sound understanding of English on a rope and how it can be advantageous to someone who is trying to make roping a career. Today I'm going to explain some things regarding rope English. I'm going to go over what it is. Then I'm going to explain how different rope material can affect the English on a rope. And lastly, I'm going to show you how English on a rope can be used in team roping and calf roping. So let's start by going over just what English is. Simply put, as you can see in slide 2, the English on a rope is the curl. This curl is very important because what it does is it helps to ensure that the preceding run or the preceding move is going to be effective. If you think of a spin on a cue ball in billiards, how they control that, the English on a rope is like the spin on a cue ball. It's very important, and I would say it's probably the most important thing in roping. As Tony Jones, who is a world champion in pool, puts it, he talks about English and he says this: understanding the effects of English and learning to exploit the phenomenon is essential to becoming a better billiards player. Tony's straight on with that. English and knowing how it works, no matter what sport it is very important if you want to become better. Again, with the pitcher analogy, roping English is like a pitcher with an arsenal of different pitches. It can vary depending on cow, just like pitches can vary on who you're pitching to. And like a pitcher, you must have a variety of different ways that you can use this English on a rope if you plan to be successful and win. So now that you know a little bit more about what English is, let's go over how rope material can affect the English on a rope. Nylon is actually the most common in team roping, as you can see in slide 3A. It has a softer body to it, but a slick waxy covering, which ensures that rope will actually come tight on the steer's horns when the cowboy ropes him. Now, nylon is actually used for roping the feet as well. After the cowboy ropes the head, the other cowboy ropes the feet. Now, unlike heading, the nylon for a guy roping the feet is a hard piece of nylon that has also a slick waxy covering, but what this hardness to this piece of nylon does is it allows that rope to stay open so as the steer can jump into the loop. Now, kind of switching over into the calf roping side of it, polygrass ropes are actually the most common, as you can see in slide 3B. I would say that these polygrass ropes are the most essential in calf roping because, as Kent Chazelle puts it, who is my trainer, who has also trained the world champions and the national finals qualifiers, he puts it as simply as this: using a polygrass rope shows that you know how to rope. And as simple as that is, there's a lot of truth to that. Because what it does is it offers a crisp, clean curl so as to come tight fast and close quickly, and yep, you guessed it, to help with the preceding move. Now, these polygrasses are very sensitive, I actually have one right here. I'll show you real quick. You can see the strands of grass in there. Like I said, they're very sensitive, especially to moisture. More moisture can make them be really stiff, which would allow the English on the rope to come tighter quicker, which might foul up the run because of the imbalance there. However, on the reverse side, if there's too little moisture, you might run into the problem of that rope not coming tight enough because the English is too kinked, and it just wouldn't work very well. The way we keep those ropes good is we put them in a can, such as this is the lid to one of them. I just stick that on there and put a rag in there, and it keeps them perfect. So now that we know what material, how it can vary the English in a rope, let's go over the English in team roping and calf roping. Now when you're roping the horns in team roping, what you want to do is have a flat loop across that steer's horns, and when you deliver, it's going to come around and it's going to curl and hit the side of the steer, and that's going to ensure that that cowboy can pull that rope tight and get that steer turned off for the guy who's going to rope the feet. Now the guy who does rope the feet, he's going to have that rope dip down on his left side, and he's going to deliver that rope so that it stays open, and it's going to curl up towards the back. And there's a lot of angles that go into that. I won't give you the degrees, but there's a lot of actual math that goes into that. Now when you're roping the head in calf roping, the English is actually going to curl, and it's going to land on top of the shoulders of that calf. And what that's going to ensure is that it comes tighter quicker, and once again allow for the preceding move to take place. Now where that rope is thrown in calf roping is probably more critical than in any other roping event. The reason I say that is if you throw it too late, which would be at about 12 o'clock to 11 o'clock, then that rope's going to curl around and catch a back leg, which is going to be no good for the run. Now if you throw it too early, you can miss. It'll graze the side of the head, which would be about 2 or 3 o'clock, but the optimal place to throw it would be about 1 o'clock down at that calf. And as 9-time National Finals qualifier Mash Zawa put it, English on a rope is what gets you to the pay window. So as you can see, English can vary depending on what you're roping. So kind of to close up, we've gone over a lot of technicalities of what English is and how it can be affected, everywhere from what it is to the material you're using and how that can affect the English of your rope, and also how it can be used to your advantage in team roping and calf roping. So next time you're at a rodeo and you're watching the roping events, go ahead and turn to your significant other or friend and tell them what's up, and it'll blow their mind, I guarantee it. Thank you.